I will be your host. My name is Mark Wilson. I'm the co-founder and CEO of WrenchWay. Just a few housekeeping items. We do have a large group. There were well over 500 people that registered for this. So everyone is on mute. We will save some time at the end for questions. So type those into the Q&A part on your Zoom panels. By this point, I think we're all pretty familiar with Zoom. I will be going through a combination of some slides and then actually looking at the product that we're talking about today. Just kind of on a personal note, I'm getting the little allergies are getting the best of me today. So if you hear me go silent for a couple minutes, it may be some sneezing or something like that going on. So just bear with me. But I'm sure we can get through the hour fine. So like I said, keep posting questions as they come up. With the large group, we may not be able to get to all of them. If we can't, it does record your name so we can follow up with an email or something like that and make sure your question gets answered. So getting started with this, a little bit about WrenchWay. Guessing some of you know us, some of you don't. We're a relatively new company. Our whole mission, though, is to help the technician shortage. On the auto side, on the diesel side, collision. That's why we started the company. That's why we create the products and tools that we have, and some of which we'll be showing today. We work directly with a lot of technicians. We work with schools, meaning high schools and technical schools. And then we work with over 1,000 shops. And when I say shops, I include independent shops, dealers, fleet groups, some OEMs, really anyone that hires technicians, we include in that bucket. So most of today we're going to be talking about, as you saw from the title on the registration page, what we're kicking off and calling our 2090 challenge. So I'll be going through that. This will show a lot of the product that WrenchWay has, which shops do pay for. It's $150 a month, so a pretty modest cost. But I structured the slides in a way that a lot of you guys can get value out of this, even if you choose not to use our solutions. But just kind of keep that in mind when I go through this. It is going to show our actual products. All right, let's get started. So first, I chose not to put a ton of stats in here. I'm guessing if you're attending this presentation, you're well aware of the shortage that we all face in the industry. Frankly, there's just two things I want to point out here, because I always like to get people thinking about it. It's not just that there's not enough young people entering the industry. There's also too many people leaving. And that part gets broken down into two areas. One, people are retiring. Can't really do much about that. But ASE put out a stat that 42% leave within the first couple of years. That is alarming. You couple that with the fact that not enough kids are going into it, and the shortage we have going on right now is only going to get worse. So that's why if you are in a position that you are hiring technicians, or you want to retain the ones you have, it's important to take these things seriously and to make it a key focus of your business. Now, with all of the shops and dealers that we've worked with, a couple of bullets that I wanted to put on here. Some are kind of common sense. I just like to put it on to get our frame of reference as we go through the remainder of the presentation and start thinking about things a little differently. So first, there are a ton of great shops out there. We work with a lot of you guys. You treat your technicians awesome. They refer others to come work there. Really, you're making the industry proud. But then unfortunately, and the stuff people don't always talk about, and I think should be talked about more, is there's just a lot of bad places out there. And to be blunt, they treat their people like crap. I think that's a reason that so many people do leave the industry, is they get fed up with it. And it might not be the company as a whole. It might be one boss, one supervisor, one manager, whatever it is. But in other industries I've worked with, that's true. There's always good employers and bad employers. I've seen a little bit alarming amount of ones that really don't treat their people well, or they treat some members of the team well, but the technicians, for whatever reason, kind of don't get treated the best. It's not all doom and gloom. That's not the majority, not even close, but there are a good amount of them. So the reason I pointed out here, and when you think about it from a recruiting standpoint, is it's not always easy for technicians to tell what the good ones are and what the bad ones are. We'll go through this in more detail, but if you just read a description on a job post, you're not really getting that from any part of a post on Indeed or anything like that. The second bullet, when I say recruiting throughout this presentation, I really mean recruiting and retaining, because I think you're always almost re-recruiting the techs you already have. Like it or not, there's a lot of other employers and recruiters trying to steal your people away. Hopefully you don't have a team that's going to go down the street for 50 cents more an hour or anything like that. You want to build the culture that gets people staying. But as I say the term recruiting throughout this, keep in mind it doesn't just mean bringing in new employees. It also means retaining the ones you have. And then a sub point to that, kind of related, is recruiting is never done. I think too many times when we talk to some of our clients, they think, oh, I need a person, I'm just going to post an ad, and then if I'm lucky enough to find someone, then it's done and I don't have to think about it again. I wish that was the case. Maybe it was in the past, but with the shortage we're going through, smart companies and ones that want to stay ahead of the curve, they make this an ongoing effort and a mindset that we always need to be recruiting. We always need to be thinking about employee satisfaction, employee happiness. That's the world we're living in today. If this was a case where there was a ton of technicians ready to work that were unemployed, that would be different, but we all know that's not the case. And then third one, we want to make recruiting more than just thinking about posting ads and managing the applicants. That's kind of the bulk of the presentation, so I'll save that one. And then last one, I think, frankly, there's a lot of talk and not a lot of action that we see from some of our clients and not our clients as well. We had the beginning of the year a few months ago where they said, yep, this is the year that we are going to focus on recruiting technicians, retaining them, recognizing them for the great work that they're doing. You check in a couple months later, well, what'd you do about that? Nothing. Posted a few ads. It's easy to put things on the back burner. I get it. We're all busy running our businesses and our departments and get pulled in a million different directions. But that's something that it's almost funny to me how we all admit how big of a problem it is, how it's only going to get worse, and then how we want to do something about it, but then we never really do. This 2090 program we have, I kind of always compare it to a fitness program. I personally put on weight during COVID. I know I need to get to the gym and start eating better. I still push it off. I got to get moving on that. I think it's the same kind of mindset of what we see when it comes to recruiting and retaining technicians. So one stat before we really dive in, I like this chart a lot because it gets people thinking like a technician, which I think is key when you're trying to recruit and retain them. So let's look at the population of technicians as a whole. This isn't that different from other industries. The unemployment side is definitely not as big as some other industries. But if you look at it as a whole and break it into three groups, we have less than 2%. I would argue it's probably far less than 2% of the good ones that are worth employing that you would want on your team are unemployed at any given time, and they're actively looking. If they are, they're going to get scooped up very quickly and probably multiple offers at their disposal. The green bucket here, 25%, they have a job, they like it where they're at, they're not looking to move. We want more of that. And then the biggest area is 73%. They have a job, they're not happy with where they're at, they're considering making a move to a different shop or dealership. They may leave the industry altogether. Those are kind of at-risk ones that we want to make sure either they find a way to get happier where they're at, or they go to a place that values them more and they don't leave the industry. So when I mentioned on the last slide of getting to think like a technician, before I jump into some of the actual product here, I just like this high-level overview of the recruiting and hiring process. So the first thing you're looking at is building awareness. So by this, if you are the person hiring, you're posting on job boards, you're posting on social media, you're getting your employees to refer their friends, their former classmates, whatever it is, you're going to the school career fairs, things like that. Anything you can do to get the word out that you're hiring is what I call awareness. And then once they apply, you go through your normal, filter through applications, maybe do a phone screen, bring them in, whatever you do. We're not going to focus on that, the right side of this. What I do want to make people aware of is there's a very big gap between building awareness and getting someone to actually apply. And a big reason for that is if I go back to the previous slide, and I'm one of these people that has a job, but I don't love where I'm at, I probably am scrolling through the job boards every once in a while. But based on what I'm seeing, any given city, if I type auto technician or whatever it is, there's probably 400, 500, 600 open jobs. Just go out there, look at them, scroll through them. They all start to look the same. So it's hard for that technician to justify, it's more than just hitting the apply button. It means I'm probably going to have to take a couple hours off of work, maybe even a whole day. I'm going to have to get my resume updated. The whole thing kind of just became serious. And for what? I have no idea if it's even better than the place I'm at today. Another way to compare that is if you look, I know a lot of people on the call or on the auto side, think about the amount of research that is done by a consumer before they ever step foot in the dealership or talk to a salesperson. A lot of studies show it's 80–90% is done researching online and other things. Same thing is true if you're looking to buy a house. Before I go to a showing, I want to actually see photos and things like that online. I don't want to see just a description of how many bedrooms it has and what year it was built and the square feet. I want to do a good amount of research before I even go check it out. That same thing should be true for really any industry that is employing people, but definitely one like ours where there is such a shortage, things start to look the same. It's very difficult. If you think like a technician and you go out to the job boards and you're trying to say, am I really standing out from any of the companies? So what does this have to do with the 2090 challenge? What we call our top shop pages. I'm going to do like a 5-minute overview of that, real condensed version of it. I want to show you guys an example. But the reason I'm doing it is it's very core to the challenge. So after like a 5-minute demo of the top shop pages, then we'll jump into what this 2090 challenge is. But a lot of the activities that are part of the challenge relate to these pages. So let me actually stop sharing my slides, and instead I'm going to flip to what we call a top shop page. My co-founder, Jay Gannon, he's I think becoming more and more well-known in the industry. I think a lot of people based on the registration list probably already know him. He puts out a ton of content, does an awesome job. But he started, his dad owns an independent shop still running today. It's in a very small town in Wisconsin, Mineral Point. So this is always kind of our demo shop that we show. But we do work with small independents like Dan's Auto Center all the way to one of our clients we recently did a case study on is Lithia Motors. So they have 200 some locations. The point being these pages work for everyone in between, and they work because we think of things if I'm a technician and the perspective of that technician. So I saw an ad on a job board and I read the 2 paragraphs, but I want to learn more about what it's actually like to work there before I'm going to come in and possibly interview. So just a quick kind of tour of what this is. Again, we can do full demos later if anyone wants to see more, but the top is kind of a About Us section. Shops can add photos. So click through, add descriptions. What you're trying to do is give that technician a feel for what it's like to work there, almost like they're doing a little tour. Point out any equipment that you want to have, things like that. We then have a whole section that we call Under the Hood. We broke this down into 5 categories. This came about by surveying and talking directly to a ton of technicians and people that hire technicians. So we came up with the questions that almost always come up during an interview, stuff that's not proprietary, that they wish they knew ahead of time. So some are really simple. Is it an air-conditioned facility? A lot you can answer very quickly. Some you might have to type a paragraph or two. You're never going to have to type a whole novel or anything like that. But the point is to get the information out there. So again, if I'm a technician and I see your ad on a job board, I can learn a little more detail. And then the last one I want to show is what we call shop talk. These are videos. I always say anyone who's seen a full demo of our Top Shop programs has heard me say probably that if you have professionally done marketing videos, fine, put them on here. The problem with those that are scripted and maybe set to music and things like that is people just don't believe them. You know, they think they're fake. If I'm a technician looking, what I really want to see or hear is from the management people themselves just talking, or from the technicians. So what we encourage our clients to do, literally just using a smartphone, so you don't have to pay anyone to do it, but record, you know, some of the technicians talking about why they like to work there. There's other categories we do. You can do a little tour, but these are 3-minute, 5-minute videos that give the person checking out this page a good sense of, you know, not just what the pay is, what the benefits are, but get a sense for the team you'd be working with, the culture there. Everyone says they have great culture, but when you see in a video that the guys are kind of joking around with each other and they don't just say work hard, play hard mentality, but you can see that it's authentic. That's why these videos just work really well. So that's kind of my little quick tour of the Top Shop pages. The reason I did that, as I previously mentioned, is it's one of the key sections to our challenges, our 2090 challenge, which is what I'm going to jump into right now. So with this, we wanted to create almost like a fitness plan, but for recruiting and retaining, because the problem, or one of the main problems we see, and that I already talked about, is there's a lot of talk and not a lot of action. People meaning employers, talk about how seriously of a problem it is, and they need to recruit better and retain the ones they have. But we found they're not doing anything, and other than posting ads. A big reason for that is they don't know what to do, and there's no accountability for them. So we looked at this almost like if you hired a fitness coach, and they tell you exactly what exercises to do and make sure you do them and hold you accountable to it. So we're doing the same thing where we have their quarterly challenges, because again, as I mentioned in an earlier slide, it's never really done. You need to be thinking that always be recruiting mindset. So we came up with 20 things that you can do over the course of 90 days. I get it, you're busy. You're not going to be able to spend hours and hours on this. So some of the activities literally take 2 or 3 minutes. Some might take an hour or two. And when I say 20 things, that's for your team. So if you're a dealership group, it might be your HR person and the service manager, and maybe even the GM does one thing. If you're a small independent, maybe everything falls on one person, but that's probably not true either. As you see when I go through some examples, you can get, I mean, even the administrative person to help out with a lot of this, get some of the techs themselves to help, and it helps build that culture. So don't be scared off by the 20 things approach. I actually look at that as kind of a minimum. And then the last thing, we use what I've coined as a 3D approach. Some people on my team here at WrenchWay give me a hard time about that, but it just helps me for things like this have a mindset of actually making sure it gets done. So now diving into what the program is all about, and how we kind of measure it. We broke it into 6 categories. You can add your own categories if you'd like, but we wanted to create kind of a tailored program that anyone can use. You follow these things, I guarantee it's going to help you recruit better, get more technicians to apply, get the existing ones you have to stick around. I'm going to go through examples of each of these individually, but what it is the first one is promoting your page, the page we just talked about. We make it super easy for you to build that Top Shop page. But if you just build it and don't do anything with it, it doesn't do a lot of value. We'll put some traffic to it, but there are a lot of ways you can use that to your advantage. Shop talk, industry topics, your team, community, and research. Again, I'm going to go through each of these individually, but what the little numbers mean beside it is over the course of 90 days, this is our suggested activities that you would complete. So hopefully if my math is right, they total up to 20. But again, as we go through some examples, I think you'll see that's actually pretty minor and you could easily blow past that. What I mean by the 3D approach, this is where basically you want to hold yourself and your team accountable. So the way I would lay this out over a quarter is at the beginning of the quarter, have a meeting with, it depends who you are. So I can't say exactly these people should be in the meeting, but let's just say you're at a dealership. It's probably the GM, the service manager, and if you have someone in HR, those three. And the meeting doesn't have to be 2 hours long or anything like that, but you're going to decide, hey, we're going to do 20 things over the next 90 days, and here are some of the things we're going to do. And then during the quarter, you actually have to do them. So don't just talk about it, and then next quarter's meeting, you come back and what do we do? Well, nothing. You actually have to do it. And then maybe most importantly, document what you did. So I'm going to show you an example of the tool we built in to make this happen. So if I go into, again, I'm logged in as Dan's Auto Center. This is the back end of what we're talking about. So just to kind of circle back to my earlier screen, when I showed that public page that we see here, this is the back end of that. So you can see we make it really easy for people to create their pages. They can just click the pencil to edit anything. You upload a video, you take a photo with your iPhone or whatever, and you can drag and drop that and put it where you want. So that's part of what we get with WrenchWay, but what we're really talking about here is documenting your 20 activities throughout the quarter. Now, with Dan's, if you sum up these, if you're doing quick math, you'll see their goals are much higher than the 20. And that's okay. The 20 is kind of a starting point, and we just want to give people a framework of what they can do. So I'm going to come back to this kind of scorecard that measures everything that you've done. But this page we're looking at here is perfect. Now at the next quarterly meeting, we can review as a team what we did, where we fell down, what results we got from it. So again, I'll come back to that. But first, how do you even know what to do in the first place? So we have created a ton of guides for you, and I'm going to pick videos as an example. That's one of our categories. So you'll see in here, we create guides. Jay, my business partner, he's in here. You can see one day he just sat down and recorded a bunch of videos talking about things that you can do for recruiting. So each of them, you know, a minute and a half, minute 30. It's just him giving quick advice, but it's meant for you to have ideas instead of saying, well, I don't know what 20 things to do. Scroll through this and pick one. If you have 15 minutes, you can knock one out easily. Other categories we have, the our team one. So we have documents in here, ideas, things you can do. Some have attachments. So this one is suggested surveys that you can do. The point being, and we don't have time to go through all of it today, so we're not going to, but we put out a ton of content and give you ideas of things you can do. So there never should be the excuse of, I don't know what I should be doing on these. We're not saying you have to do every single activity, but over the course of a quarter, there would be no excuse not to be able to do 20 things, especially when some of them literally take 2 minutes. So we will always give you a huge amount of content that you can select from and decide what you're going to do. And the other excuse we have is, oh, I don't have time for that. And because some of these are so simple, I just think that's kind of a BS answer. I'm busy, you're busy, we're all busy, but if you're going to complain about not being able to find technicians, then you're going to have to allocate at least a little bit of time to devote to recruit and think a little differently rather than just posting a job on whatever job board you like. So let me go back to the tracker. When I come in here, let's say I complete one of the activities. So I'll do an R team 1. I would just come in here and I can type up whatever I did. So I used a survey that WrenchWay suggested, and all of our technicians filled it out. Here's a summary of the results. So I'm going to type that stuff in here. If I have an attachment, I'm going to put that in there. But the point is, I document what I did. You can see so there's some open tasks, and these ones are fake ones I just put in yesterday because I didn't want to show Dan's actual stuff that they're doing. But you have the open activities, things that at the beginning of the quarter you said, let's do this. Sue, you can do that. Bob, you can do that, whatever it is. But then when you complete them, you go in here, you type in what you had. Now, anyone on your team that you give access to can scroll through. They can add a comment if they want, ask questions. They can see the results. The point is, it gets documented, therefore you become accountable to it. So the next quarterly meeting you have, you can run through and say who didn't do the tasks that were assigned to them, who did them, but most importantly, what you learned and what the results were. So that's at a high level. There's some other kind of bells and whistles that are built into the program we have, but now kind of shifting gears more toward the part that even if you don't use our tools, you can get some value out of and do yourself. Maybe not on this first one, so I'll probably run through this quick, but one of the categories we have is promoting your Top Shop page. So that page we just had that has videos with your technicians, that has photos of your shop. Use that to your advantage. Anytime that you're posting that you're hiring, include a link to it. In that case study I mentioned we did on Lithia, they do an awesome job of, they have on their dealer pages, they have a button on their website. When they post on Indeed or ZipRecruiter or anything like that, they put a link right in there, and we give suggested language. Don't just put click here to learn more. No one's going to do that, honestly. If you're a technician, you're probably just assuming that's taking you to the general website or something that maybe is a paragraph about when the company started. That's fine stuff, but it's not telling them they're going to see a lot more information about what it's like for them as a technician. So we help with that. Maybe most importantly, you can get your employees to share it. The best recruiting anyone can ever do is get your existing employees to share, or refer their classmates they went to school with or friends. We all know it's hard to get them to actually do it, but getting them to share a page like this that is all about the technician team, the service people, even if they're in a video, those ones are great. They will definitely share those, especially if you incentivize them. And I don't mean just incentivize them if someone gets hired. I mean actually incentivize them just to share it on their Facebook or their LinkedIn or their Instagram or whatever it is. If you have a lot of people, maybe you do a contest and you say, for everyone that shares it, we're going to give you an entry to get a $200 gift card to whatever tool company or Amazon or anything like that. That's going to be 10 times better than any $200 you would spend on an ad on any job board. Or maybe it's $50 or 10 or whatever the size of your company is. Point being, if you're going to use our Top Shop pages, actually use them. Include them in everything you're doing when you're posting to find technicians. So that one is pretty highly related to our Top Shop pages. Now the other ones, Shop Talk videos, this is category number 2. Even if you didn't have a Top Shop page, you still can and should create videos. It works really well. People love them. It shows authenticity. Honestly, these can be used to help get customers too. People like to see the behind the scenes stuff of how things work. And then they, if their car breaks down or whatever, you're going to be top of mind. But people always say to us, well, that sounds great. I don't know where to start with that, what videos to make. It seems intimidating. I'm shy to get on camera. Where do I even start? So that's where those guides come in that I talked about, that Jay had a ton of good ideas of videos they can make. Here's a list of them here. These literally, it takes 5 minutes. You get 2-3 technicians talking about why they like to work there. If someone screws something up or laughs or you have the camera crooked or whatever it is, you're out the 5 minutes it took, and then you can try again. But it's so easy to do that. Shop tours. You have no problem when someone comes in for an interview, I guarantee you walk them around and you point out certain equipment and you show them how it works. Literally do that same thing with a camera. Why not? And then put it on the Top Shop page we have. If you don't have a Top Shop page, maybe put it on your Facebook or something like that. Monthly updates and shout-outs. Those work really well, especially the shout-outs. By that, I mean recognizing a team member that did a great job. I have a little more of that coming up in a future slide, but the third one, and I'm not going to go through every one of these on here, but meet the management team. Studies in any industry show that the #1 factor of loyalty amongst employees is their relationship with their direct boss. It's not pay, it's not benefits. Those things matter because you're not even going to get them to the table if you don't offer a fair pay. But the #1 driver of if people stick around is their relationship with their boss. So if you can get those people on camera, then you can see, you know, this person knows what they're talking about. I could really believe in them. You know, just the human factor of seeing someone on camera talking, now it becomes less intimidating. If I'm going to apply, I have a better sense of what I'm getting myself into. So there's a lot of other ideas here. Point is, just get started. Don't make this a thing that is so overwhelming that you're like, yeah, that would be cool if we had it, but then you never even get going on it. Start with one video. If it sucks, don't publish it. But I guarantee if you do that a couple times and you spend 5-10 minutes, you're going to have some pretty good content. And again, the stuff that works the best is the non-scripted, the non-overly edited. You don't need a lot of, you know, flashy type things that maybe worked 15, 20 years ago. The ones that work great are just authentic, real life conversations and tours and documenting that stuff. The next one of our 6 topics that I want to cover is just going through industry topics. There are people always say to me, LinkedIn isn't great for recruiting technicians. I don't know what LinkedIn you're talking about, but we get a ton of technicians to apply to jobs through LinkedIn. And more importantly, we put out a lot of content on LinkedIn, and then technicians start talking and commenting, and we start to build a relationship with them. We're not going to be in your face recruiting them on the first comment that they make, but we want them to know who we are. We want to hear from them and respect their opinion and get their thoughts on how the industry can be better. But then when we start promoting some of our clients that we think are good places to work, now they know us, they take us seriously, and they apply to those jobs. Same thing with any Facebook group or other social sites. Our group here is part of over 600 Facebook groups. They're not all jobs in Atlanta, jobs in Raleigh, North Carolina, whatever. Some of them are that way for mechanics or auto technicians or whatever the case may be. But a lot of them are just the conversations in there are talking about, you know, the latest technology that's coming out, or there's a lot about pay plan structures, things like that. Join those groups. Again, don't be so in your face where you're just recruiting all the time. Literally join the conversations. You might learn something. You can participate. You chose this industry for a reason, so hopefully this stuff interests you. But as you do that, you'll start to meet more of the members, and then when you are ready and you're posting your jobs, now some of those people, if they don't apply, they might know someone or they might share your post. So Facebook groups are great for that. Reddit is actually Reddit's not new at all, but on the software side, which is more my background, that's been popular for years. Seeing a lot of Reddit groups pop up in the industry we're in here. So that's another good place to look at. We ourselves have what we call Insiders app. We post a topic of the week where you can add comments. You can win prizes for providing content and feedback. Same thing there. Start participating in those. You start to get your name out there. You're not going to find a technician by doing this overnight, but if you invest 5-10 minutes a week, 5-10 minutes every other week even, you'll start to build a network and kind of a bench of people in your area that you might eventually be able to hire. Your team. And again, as I go through these are the 6 categories that we have that we're suggesting you do activities for over the course of a quarter. I'm not saying you have to do every single thing on here. I'm saying you total up to 20 of them. After that, I guarantee you're going to start getting more applicants in the door. Just like if I work out and my trainer tells me I need to do 10 reps of this, 4 reps of that, whatever it is, by the end of the 90 days, I'm starting to look and feel better. Same thing with this. You're going to start seeing results, but it's not an overnight thing. This isn't a magic pill where I just post an ad and I'm done. So anyway, I got a little off topic there, but wanted to remind people of that. The categories we suggest for your team. So again, this is not always just about recruiting new technicians. It's retaining, meaning re-recruiting your existing technicians, proactively finding out if maybe they're not happy about something before they go and look somewhere else. So there's a ton of, obviously, surveys you can do, whether it's anonymous or not. You know, there's different schools of thought for that. We can help provide the questions and benchmark them to other companies, things like that. Some of these are common sense too, but they're also things like people just stopped doing a while ago for whatever reason. So team events, we have a lot of people that tell us how they bring in lunch once a week or once a month. That is a perfect idea. Maybe it's a happy hour, things like that. But you get the team together, you build relationships, and then you don't want to make it work, so you want them to have fun. But it's okay at those to pose a question here or there on, you know, how they feel about a certain change you might have made last year, or what they wish was different about their job. Anything you can do to show that you're listening helps, and then of course you can uncover some things that you might not have known were an issue. Recognition, oh my gosh, everyone needs to do so much more of this. I saw a few really good ones on LinkedIn here recently, but this is the easiest thing you can do. At that team meeting, recognize someone for a good job they did. Better yet, recognize them publicly. A post on your company Facebook page, your LinkedIn page, even your personal one if you're their boss, that people, they may not admit it, especially, you know, some in the industry, some technicians like to talk, you know, that they're tough and don't care about that stuff, and some maybe don't, but almost everyone by human nature, if they're doing a good job, wants to be told they're doing a good job, and especially if their friends and family can see stuff like that, that helps with loyalty. That takes 30 seconds to type up a little post like that. Have one-on-one discussions. These don't need to be formal, but ask them how it's going. Ask them ideas for how they think they could improve the business as a whole. People like feeling part of the business, like their voice is heard. Those things matter a ton. Of course, include them on videos for your WrenchWay page. Get them to share the videos. And then the last one, especially for maybe younger technicians, career development plans. We could do whole webinars on this. In fact, we have. But if you don't have one already, get one, get several, get whatever it takes. But document a career development plan. Share that individually with your team member. Make sure they understand where they fit in. Learn what their goals are. If they're cool with where they're at and you know, they don't have a desire to move up, that's fine. Maybe that will change in a year or two, maybe it won't. But know what they're looking for and make sure you're aligned with them on that. So point being, there's a lot of things you can do with your team. Research, I'll speed this up a little bit. A couple examples, well, just real quick, again, to remind everyone, a lot of these are what we mean by the guides that we have within WrenchWay. So there we get a lot more detailed on things you can do. But I wanted for the people that aren't using WrenchWay to give them some ideas as well. So what do we mean by research? My first one and my favorite one is check out the competition. I, like probably some of you on here, have paid in the past for reports on pay in the industry or in a certain city and things like that. The data is okay. Actually, it's not. I'm going to be honest. It usually sucks. It's not believable at all. It could be a good resource, but what I have found that is a lot better is I just go out to Indeed, ZipRecruiter, whatever, the city I care about. I search for a job as if I'm a technician, as if I'm if I was a shop owner, one of the technicians I employ or that I'm trying to attract. And I want to see what the competition is paying, how they're marketing it, are there new benefits out there that I never really thought of? these are things that I can do. I can get a lot done in 15 minutes. And don't just go out there, check it out, scroll through it, and think you'll remember it and not do anything with it. We have a nice little template, just a little Excel sheet that when you go out there, it suggests checking out 20 companies in your area that are hiring, document what they're paying, document anything as you scroll through it that you think is kind of cool. Just write that down. If you do that for 20 companies, it would take at most a half hour, but probably a little less. But so well worth it. And then you can share that spreadsheet with others on your team, or if you want to revisit it 3 months later and then update it, you can. But that activity is huge. There's so many shops we talk to at WrenchWay that kind of have their head in the sand that they have no idea they are not competitive at all with pay or how they treat people or benefits they have. And just doing some of these little research activities helps a ton. Now, just one more I want to mention. This is kind of in general about benefits. So the traditional ones, 401k and insurance, non-traditional, whatever it is. I don't care if it's a tool program or health and wellness or dog insurance or whatever it is. What I see too often is people meaning shops and dealerships say, well, we can't afford that or we'll never do it. So they don't look into it, or they checked out a program 3 years ago and it didn't make sense for them at that time. So they think it still doesn't make sense. In your 90 days, when you're doing one of these activities, don't go into it with saying my activity is going to add this benefit. No, my activity is going to be spend a little time researching it to see if it makes sense for me. So maybe you don't have a 401k plan. Well, every town has a million financial advisors that would love to talk to you, and they'll educate you. Call them up. It'll take 10 minutes. You'll find out exactly what it costs. Guarantee it's cheaper than you think. Even if you're not ready for a 401k plan, you can do a simple IRA, or there's other options that what it turns into is as employees search your job and they decide if they're going to apply, you can now check that box. Or health insurance. There's a lot of ways to make that cost effective. Not everyone on your team is going to sign up for it, but this day and age, it's hard to compete when you don't offer at least something. So there's so many flexible ways out there where you're not breaking the bank. The tool plans, especially for students that they haven't bought their tools yet, so starter kind of kits for them. Every tool company out there has plans for that make it easy for you to help pay for those. And if the person quits after 3 months or something like that, you keep them. If they stay, whether you want to do 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, then they become theirs. There's a ton of those out there. We provide links to the tool companies. Point is, in this category, pick 1 or 2 of these things each quarter to just check out. It doesn't mean you have to add it, but it's a pretty fast changing environment. The examples I went through there, honestly, are pretty basic, but there's some other cool stuff that is coming out that I've seen lately that if you just invest a little time checking that stuff out, you're going to stay ahead of the game. So let me move on. The last one we had was community. This could be volunteering, getting your team to volunteer, like team building type activities at a food shelter, things like that. And those are good. I don't mean to skip over them. Those are things you can document. But the ones I really like for this are working with your local schools to help grow the next generation of technicians and to get some of them to come work for you. So instead of just listing that one out, I want to show real quickly a nice thing we built called School Connect. So if you're looking for some activities to do, maybe you had a goal to do one thing with a school over the course of a quarter, or 2 things. We built this product right within the same place you'd log in for your activity tracker. It lists out, so we work with hundreds of high schools and tech schools across the country. We just launched this in February, so it's growing very quickly. I'm sure we'll be well into at least 1,000 by the end of the year. It's free for schools. So what they do, the instructors, they post stuff that they could use help with. So you can filter it by your area, or there's different categories. But if I just scroll through, these are all either high school teachers or tech instructors at a college asking for help. So there's a lot of advisory committee members, Some places are saying, hey, if you have any extra tools or anything like that that you could donate, you know, these programs, a lot of their finances are getting cut. So let's say this one, maybe you want to donate 2 things on this list. So I can message and I can say, hey, I have this oxygen sensor socket or whatever, I'd love to donate it to you guys. And then you send a message, it goes directly to the instructor, so there's no gatekeepers or anything like that. You can coordinate the drop-off time, whatever. If you want to be on an advisory committee, if you want to let a classroom come in and tour your shop, if you want to do a Zoom presentation, schools are always looking for help. You also, if nothing, scroll through the list and nothing jumps out at you, you can post your own stuff. And you can say, we would love to have a high school class come in and do a little quick tour, or our service manager would be happy to jump on a Zoom or go visit a class and talk to some 7th graders or some sophomores in high school, or people that are coming out of a tech program. I could talk a whole presentation about that, but it's pretty easy a few times a year to pick something to help out with. And then again, these things start to compound on top of each other. Again, just like working out, where if I go do one workout this afternoon, I'm not going to all of a sudden cut that 30 pounds or whatever I need to lose. But if I do this every day for 3 months, now I start to see results. Same thing with what we have as the 2090 program. Maybe not every day, but if you do one little thing a week or one little thing every other week, you're going to start seeing better results than you've ever seen for recruiting and retaining your technicians. So then last thing quick before questions, we have about 15 minutes left here. I wanted to bring back the points I made on my very first slide of things that we see from shops currently. Is there are a lot of good ones, but there are a lot of bad ones too. And one of the problems we set to accomplish was to make it easier for techs to tell the good ones from the bad ones. The best way we have at that is those top shop pages that if you're not a great place to work, probably you're not going to want to create those pages in the first place. But it's far easier. It's not foolproof. You know, people can lie in videos and things like that too. But if you're authentic and, you know, you can tell when you watch a video if it's fake or not. Not always, but you can usually get a sense for how real it is. But if I'm a technician and I check out those top shop pages, it makes my life a lot easier. Instead of checking out 500 different shops and finding out when I come to interview, I now have followed this company for a couple months and I see they post cool stuff. I see they recognize their existing employees. That seems like a place that I might want to work. So Top Shop's program helps with that one, but the rest is more on our 2090 challenge, the job never being done on that second point. This isn't a program that I would suggest you do for 90 days and then stop. It's a every quarter thing, but it's also not that much work. It's just making yourself get in the routine of making it part of your lifestyle, that this shortage we have is not going away anytime soon. So you need to start allocating some time to this. And that kind of fits in with the third bullet as well. And the fourth, really, of document. Every place we talk to, yeah, it's our #1 priority this year, or it's in our top 3. I hear that literally 15 times a week at least. And then I ask them, well, we're already at the start of May. What have you done this year? And besides posting on the job boards, that's pretty much it for most companies. So that's why we're launching this. That's why we spent a lot of hours of our time creating those guides. Jay filmed the videos of here's exactly how you do it. We created the template of here's an Excel sheet, fill in these columns. Like we'll do the work of finding the things that we know work and point them to you and give you access to them, but you still got to roll up your sleeves a little bit and do the actual work, because everything is a little different in your city, your town, for your company. But our job is to give you the tools to make it as easy as possible, but you still have to hit the gym or the diet or whatever analogy you want to make if you compare it to a fitness plan. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, this is not meant to be a magic bullet that now I sign up and automatically I got 10 technicians at my door and I can clone them and the world's going to be perfect. Instead, we do everything I was just talking about, of trying to get that mindset of always be recruiting, but we do it in a way that recognizes you're busy. you have a lot of things going on. But you can still allocate 15 minutes a week, half hour a month, whatever the case it is. So with that, hopefully I saw the chat was lighting up here. I tried to keep going just because we have so many people. But Sarah, we have 10 minutes left. Are there some questions you want to pose here?
Yeah, we have a couple questions for you. Let's see. The first one here is, how do I get management to buy into something like this?
Yeah, I mean, that should be fairly easy, honestly. Our program, like I said, it's $150 a month, whether you try to track it on your own or something like that. One, the cost isn't that high. It's maybe more so of time because you're probably going to be asking them to help out on some things. But if they even question that, I mean, I don't know if they haven't seen the world we live in, that there's such a shortage of technicians, or maybe you've been fortunate not to have that happen at your dealership. But sharing some stats, a quick Google search can show how hard it is. But honestly, just real life stories of you've had this same job posted for 3 months and got no qualified applicants. That should be all they need to hear. I know that's a vague answer, but this is one of those areas that it's pretty obvious when companies need help, and literally everyone that we talk to is hiring. So it should be pretty easy to get them to buy in. If not, you kind of question if they even take the issue seriously, and that's a whole other issue.
Great. We got another question here in the chat. Is there a cost for high schools to use? I believe they're talking about WrenchWay School Connect.
Yeah, the School Connect piece we talked where the instructors can post things they're looking for help with. There definitely is no cost for that. Just go out to our site, wrenchway.com, click on School Connect. There'll be a form there that get you signed up as a school. We, of course, verify you actually work at the school, but there's no cost, and then we'll get you set up and show you how to use it.
Another question, we have multiple locations. Do you recommend we do this all together or at each location, and how does the pricing work?
I would definitely do it at each location. Recruiting is very localized. Pay is different. We work all across the country. Pay is different. The supply of technicians is different everywhere. So some of these activities, you need to do them in your area. But probably more importantly, if I'm the technician, I want to see photos of where I'm going to work, not your corporate headquarters or not your dealership that's 30 miles away from the one I'm working at. I want to see and hear from the management that I'm going to be working with every day. You know, you need to localize, and maybe localize isn't the right word, but personalize this stuff to the target technician you're looking for. And it's nearly impossible to do that if you don't take it down to the local level. And then the second part of the question, I think, was about cost. Like I said, it's $150 a month. That is per location. If you have a lot of locations, we'll give you a custom quote and we can knock that price down. You know, if you have 10 or more locations, we definitely can work with you on price for that. But the main point is I would do it at the local level. Some stuff like benefits you offer and things like that, some of the research things maybe overlaps and you don't have to do that, but you're going to get a lot more value if you do it at the local level.
Perfect. Okay, we got a couple questions in this one. I'll read them separately. The first one is, how are you advertising or marketing WrenchWay to technicians?
Yeah, we do several things for that. Any of our shops, our top shops, we have a mobile app where we target technicians. We ask them questions like, how do you feel about flat rate, or what's your ideal pay structure, or you know, warranty issues, things like that, stuff that they care about and we care about their opinion. We then gather all their answers and create, we keep it anonymous, but we create content that we share with our partners. And we reward the technicians for answering those questions so they can win prizes, things like that. Anyway, that app has, you know, a couple thousand technicians that are using that. There's a tab in there that lists Top Shop, so they're clicking on the Top Shop pages in their area and seeing the videos, things like that. We also do a variety of marketing, whether it's through Facebook, LinkedIn, other channels we have to drive technicians to our WrenchWay page, which lists all the top shops. So I guess short answer is kind of traditional marketing to get technicians to see our top shop pages. We have a lot of roundtables that are geared towards them, so they either attend or view recordings of those. So we do our part to market the pages, but the main thing is that page is your page, and we'll drive you some traffic, but you need to be using it. Include it on your Indeed post, include it, share it on your Facebook once in a while, put a button on your website. This isn't meant to be just another job board or anything like that. It's meant to supplement your posts that you have in other places. And then what was the next question? Sorry.
Let's see, what types of technicians are using WrenchWay? Is it technicians that are straight out of school or higher level techs?
It's a mix all over the board, especially the mobile app, I think is probably a little younger ones, but I actually haven't profiled to see that. So maybe I'm feeding into a stereotype there. But that, even though it's not the same answer, it's kind of related to the last question of everything we're talking about here is to help you attract technicians to your shop, not for us to attract technicians to WrenchWay. We want to give you the tools to market yourself better and to keep yourself accountable to doing some of these things.
And it looks like we have one more question here. If anyone has questions, feel free to submit them through the Q&A. We have a couple of extra minutes. But Robert would like to know, do you track how long the candidates watch the video? And it looks like he's kind of curious if anyone really watches a 5-minute video. So maybe you could talk about some tips that we give shops for the videos.
Yeah. Right now we don't share that data. I'm sure we could add that of when someone falls off or anything like that. We do give you tools to show how many people came to your page, how many were the unique visitors versus ones that came back several times. The pages in general, again, if you go back and think, the key to all of this is thinking like a technician, and there's different things that matter to different technicians. And that's why it's important to have not 100 videos on there, but a few, because different people watch different videos. None are probably going to watch all of them. And it's okay if in a 5-minute video, they watch the first 3 minutes or they watched it all. The point being, it goes deeper than what they can ever get on a job board. So if you get them to that page and they're poking around, you want to see if there's something that's going to jump out at them. But again, all people are different. So some just want to click through the photos and don't want to look at the videos. Others care a lot more about the videos. It's just because you're not spending money creating that content. It's like marketing to consumers. The more content you can get out there is usually a better thing and a better chance of capturing their attention and getting them to apply.
All right, we did get another question.
Oh, and then sorry, Sarah, real quick, Sarah, you had asked about suggestions we have. We do put in a lot of suggestions on types of topics to cover. We know from hearing for technicians what type of videos they like, which ones get watched a little more. So we'll provide some guidance on that. It's still true everything I just said of don't lock. There's no one magic video that we can say make this 1-minute video on this one topic and that's all you'll ever need. That's not the real world we live in. But we do provide, these ones tend to work a little better. They work better usually if you're going to have a technician in a video. A lot of times having 2 people together works better than just one. Partly just nerves. A lot of those guys aren't used to being on camera and they just for whatever reason relax more when there's 2 people. And then usually someone will say something that the other guy wasn't thinking about and then he'll add on to it. And it just feeds into that, what I was talking about earlier, of that real authentic flow of the conversation that you're looking for that becomes believable for the prospective tech who's considering coming there.
Perfect. I think we have time. We'll do one more quick question here. Can schools use this as a quote unquote marketing tool as well?
Not yet. Well, kind of. We have some future stuff coming for that. That's why I hesitated a lot. The stuff I showed where schools post what they're looking for, that is, you have to have a Top Shop or a WrenchWay login for that to see. So shops, industry folks, a lot of people will see those posts, but there's no public-facing school part of it yet. That's something we're probably going to be adding here that they can use for a marketing tool. But they also get like a poster that they can hang in their classroom, which links to our Top Shops. That's another way we market towards technicians. These would be to students, but we get the schools to post, you know, a poster with a QR code that will take them to our Top Shops listing, and they can look in their area and find the best places to work. So that's probably not directly what they were asking there. But I guess the short answer is stay tuned for some more stuff with schools that we'll have coming out hopefully later this year.
Perfect. And I think that's it, Mark.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for attending. Like Sarah said, or maybe I said, we will be having a recording of this that we'll post in the next couple days. If anyone wants to learn more about either our 2090 program or just WrenchWay in general, you can just go to our site. There's a form there, or just email info@wrenchway.com. But we're always looking forward to hearing from people and suggestions and seeing if anyone wants to work with us going forward. So thanks, everyone.